Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So, I am continuing my path up the Roman Javelin tech tree with Caesar. And I thought, well, I had quite a good game, which I thought would make quite a good replay. I don't always do reviews of sort of units at tier 4, but I thought it could be kind of interesting to do. Just before we get into the video, a few bits of housekeeping. One thing I'm thinking about doing is starting almost like a series following from tier 1 all the way up my progress through tier 10 for the Greek cavalry tech tree with Alexander. I know it's kind of sort of how I structure my videos anyway, in a sense, that I often do reviews of or look at most of the units each tier, but I was kind of trying to think of doing this as sort of like an on-screen sort of series following the progress up the tech tree. I don't know, something like that is what I'm thinking, almost like a Let's Play series following that one tech tree all the way from tier 1 through to tier 10. So I thought that could be interesting, so that might be something we try in the future. And also, for those of you who don't know, I do some odd sporadic streaming, sort of normally about once a week, sometimes on the weekends. So if you don't know, have a click through on my Twitch link. There'll be a link in the description below. And follow me on there and you should get a notification when I start streaming. But without further ado, let's hop into these tier 4 javelins. So they're the Socii Javelineers. I think that means like social javelins. I don't know. These are obviously some of the lower classes put into skirmishing roles of Republican infantry. So far, I've been quite enjoying them. The Javelin men, I find, are kind of like a high-risk, high-reward sort of class. You have to be really close to the fighting because they've got short range. But the amount of damage they can do to enemy heavy infantry is just astonishing when they get stuck in. First things first I already had the upgraded shield and I went straight for the improved Javelin because you want to get as much damage as possible out of these guys. There's not really all that much to say about them, really. The nice improvement these get over the tier 3 is the dash. Which gives them a plus 15% movement speed bonus, which is kind of nice for getting away from enemy infantry if you get yourself in trouble. And obviously they just play out really nicely, and the massive amount of damage they do makes them pretty good. They've got good shields, so they actually have a reasonable stance at missile block chance. You see, they get a missile block chance of 34. So when facing off against archers, once you can get close enough to throw javelins at them, the amount of damage you'll do to them should be able to kill them pretty quickly. So let's hop into a replay and see how we got on. This one went pretty well for me, so we'll just talk through it as we get there. So I shall see you all in the battle. So I spawned in at the back of the map, not quite right at the back, but sort of in and amongst plenty of friendly infantry. I didn't want to spawn out on one of the flanks, sort of around here or anything, and be kind of exposed to an early cavalry rush. Always trying to stay with some sort of friendly support. We'll just sit this straight into fast forward. Obviously nothing happens at the beginning. I'll begin to move up. Options wise, I can sort of either go over this way with these infantry, up the centre, or to the right. But I decided to go up the centre. We quickly identify that there's not all that much in terms of enemy archers, so that was kind of an encouragement, and so I decided to go up this middle bit. We get some initial nice spots, because as I'm pushing up here, I'm thinking about moving up. We're worried about this cavalry, but we've got quite a lot of infantry with us, which didn't worry too much, and I was thinking about targeting some of these units. But as I'm pushing up over here, we start to see some enemies actually appearing down here, and I think, oh, if I get close to the edge, you know, these guys could just come in range of these Hastati. So we'd get nice and close up to the edge. And we do actually manage to get in range. I managed to throw some javelins off the cliff. The first round actually misses because the guy realises and takes cover. But we soon start to rack up a bit of damage. But one of the units, I couldn't quite get into range for some reason. And every time I was right clicking, he was trying to run round to get shots on them. But we managed to rack up a little bit of damage, particularly as he comes out to form combat. We clip a few friendly units here, but the amount of damage we're scoring against the enemy is significant enough. Then I change targets so that I'm not causing any friendly fire, because this unit's trying to push around the back of our allies. So we're actually doing quite a bit of damage to it. If you look how much health we're taking off, took off nearly a third of their health already before they've even engaged our allies. And we cause a little bit of friendly fire here, so I stop shooting because I'm conscious of allied damage. We cause 1,000 allied damage, even though we did cause sort of 13,000 total to the enemy, so it's not too bad. And then they get rear flanked by allies, so we know we're okay. I use focus fire to cause another 5,500 damage to this guy. So already, we've done 500 aggression damage, and this was just as we were passing. I didn't even intend these as my target. I was just making use of the cliff top here to be able to get some good early damage. So we begin to push up this way. I notice there's some enemy archers down here, but they're blobbed right together. I'm trying to keep some rough unit formations. As you can see, these guys look at all, well, there's only two of their units. Two of their units are stood right on top of each other. So it makes it very easy to shoot them. If they were spread out, it would be harder to get enough damage on them. I'm kind of clustered as I'm moving in here, but I am actually spreading out to a much better formation. If I make myself wider, it makes it harder for them to shoot at me. So they start to get some shots, but we get close enough to them to be able to get some javelins on them, although we do target that cavalry a little bit there. So look at the amount of damage we do against these guys. Oh, like over half health on each. 18,000 damage we did, and then they decide obviously that they want to get out of there. So yeah, we did quite a lot of damage to them. Then I'm looking at my options. I use a focused fire on these enemy levy pikemen, and we managed to not cause any friendly fire there, which was kind of cool. And then I'm just targeting any units that basically come into my range. I'm conscious of, you know, it would be very easy for me to right-click attack on these enemies here or just here, but because I'm facing off my allies with the relatively low arc of fire of javelins, I would cause far more friendly fire, or at least as much friendly fire damage to my own units as I would to the enemy, and that's not really beneficial. It just ruins other players' games, so I'm really trying to avoid doing too much friendly fire. However, these archers, having learnt their lesson about getting too close earlier, realised that they made a bit of an error earlier and are now keeping a lot more range on me. They do quite well. But in the meantime, I sort of hang on because I'm sort of racking up quite a bit of damage against these Arthenian hoplites, these tier 4 units here, so I stay and get there. But we do take quite a bit of archer fire in return, and we sort of lose almost half, probably health over the board on our units. I sense another opportunity to throw some javelins off the cliff, so we move back over here. You know, we're starting to get 1900 damage. We've easily done the most damage in this game so far. And we get up on this cliff to try and get a few more shots down on these Hastati in the valley below. It's a little bit hard to get it to work on this cliff because they've not got full line of sight. They're not really working quite properly. But we still continue to rack up a little bit of damage on these guys. They're just stood down there now at the bottom. So obviously it's all easy damage, easy kills. And that we continue to rack up some good damage. But then they wander out of range of the cliff because we've not got that much range with these javelins, so we have to continue on. So I go here. So here is a risky shot. So the positions had basically swapped around. So now the enemy had their backs to me and our allies were on the other side. So I did throw a shot in here, and that did pan out quite well. We basically slaughtered these enemy pikemen, and we didn't really cause very many allied casualties. So I think that was probably an acceptable amount of friendly fire. It's kind of always that balance of how much friendly fire you're going to commit to how much enemy damage you're going to do. And really, I think it has to be at least sort of 4 or 5 times more damage to the enemy than friendlies, because I mean otherwise you're just winding up your allies for no real gain. So at this point, I'm sort of a bit worried about base cap. We were quite threatened here. We've got lots of enemy heavy infantry units that could push onto the base, enemy cavalry around here. So I start to push down with the intention of targeting these guys down here. In the meantime, though, these Hastati start to pull down, and obviously my classic hilltop position, which seems to serve me very well so far this game, provides me with an opportunity just to rack up more free damage, really. It's just so easy when it's in positions like this, just to get such a nice amount of damage in, kind of nice and early in the game. But as they move out, I don't bother chasing them, and I decide to target these guys down here, because it's kind of the threat to the base more. And these tier 4 barbarian infantry, which I know we can do quite a lot of damage to if we get nice and close. So we start to push down the hill. But throughout this, I've sort of been sporadically activating Caesar's ability to give increased movement speed and missile dispersion. I haven't really been making full use of Caesar's infantry support ability, though. We get a shot in there, look, and we don't actually cause any allied casualties there. But look, it absolutely decimated that unit of enemy barbarian cavalry, barbarian infantry, so it's really quite effective. We do cause some allied casualties here, but we're causing like 9, 10, 11,000 damage to the enemy cavalry, which is sort of a main threat to us as well. We then go on to target these. Look at that, one barrage, 11,000 damage. These guys are just so ruthlessly effective. We just completely destroyed this enemy unit for starting. I then stop firing because they engage these friendly hoplites, but I mean that unit is dead. That was almost a full health unit, and in 1 or 2 volleys, completely gone. That's the sort of high risk, high reward thing I was on about with the javelins. They just really are ruthlessly effective once they get stuck in. So we'll just fast forward as we head back towards base. Then we encounter these guys. These guys are set up kind of a line here defending the entrance of the base. So I think I use focus fire here, which I do, yeah, to try and target the enemy. See, now that was a case where it wasn't worthwhile. I caused 4,300 damage to the enemy, but I actually caused 3,500 damage to allies. That was not a very good move on my part. I try and get around the sides a bit to see if I can get a better option of throwing in. And I think I caused, yeah, that panned out a little bit better, but I still caused 1,100 allied damage. So I wasn't very pleased with this. I was trying to get it in, but it really wasn't panning out very well. in terms of the amount of damage I was doing to our friendly unit. So I try and, that was not such a good play on my part. So I try and pull back and sort of get a few more flanking shots. There's some much more exposed units of Hastati and other pikemen over here, which seemed like a better target to me. So we start to push in. Again, I spread out, try not to blob with these guys. It's very tempting to blob, very easy. The natural thing is just to blob with these guys. So we get in range of these hoplites. Yeah, it's just easy damage. Look at it, just don't cut them down so easily. Even though they've now got raised shields on to give them increased missile block, it just doesn't really work for them. And we just quickly activate dash. We can get away from them quite easily. It's not going to be able to catch me up. I realise these guys haven't got enough health to be a threat to me. We throw one of the starting 13,000 damage. Look at that. How ridiculous. And then we just target these guys as they come close to me. Oh, we just cut them down. They never even reach me. They just get cut down before they even get close. And that's it. We completely eliminated that unit of hoplites. I mean, how powerful do you want these javelins to be when, in the right circumstances, they're just amazing. Here, then, obviously, it would be an error for me to throw javelins here. I would just cause so many allied casualties. And no one wants that. I don't like it when I'm playing cavalry or infantry. I'm engaged and javelins just cause an excess amount of friendly fire, so I'll try and refrain from doing that myself as well. I come back here, I see there might be an opportunity to engage these Hastati here. We've got allied units. I'm a bit sort of conscious, but with the amount of we had very few units left, I probably shouldn't have really done that. I was probably just getting a bit greedy on my part, really. And this poor guy, I think, gets a massive 100 javelins for one man. So we go back into fast forward. It's really coming down to just a clean-up operation now. We've defeated the bulk of the enemies. We're at 3,800 aggression, 200 friendly fire. Not too bad. I don't think we've done too badly on the friendly fire for this game. But you do have to be careful. It's very easy, particularly with the amount of damage potential these guys have. One misclick, and you can half health an allied unit, and completely ruin their game. So you have to be careful with these guys. But yeah, an awful lot of damage potential. So basically, I'm just off now chasing enemy units. A little bit lazy, blobbing up a little bit here, but nothing really that I'm too worried about threat-wise. These guys are all getting engaged. I'm just kind of looking for a target that I can easily engage. I can't really safely engage these guys. Same sort of thing. I don't think that was a particularly great flamethrow by these barbarian infantry. I make a bit of a mistake and end up catching one of my units into the fight unintentionally. I wasn't focusing. I was focusing on these units here. And I thought there might be an opportunity to get some javelin throws in here because these barbarian infantry seem to be losing. And as they are about to get decimated, I think I might sneak a throw in at the end with one man left. There we go, and we just kill them all. So then it's just a case I'm just chasing enemies, really. Towards the end of the battle, I'm just looking for good opportunities. I kind of want to try and get over 4,000 aggression points, just because, why not? This turns into a big fight here, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything here. So this seems like a good unit. A full health Carthaginian tier 4 pikes. I wish we had no friendly units left. I'd love to have these guys to myself. I think we managed to get close enough and get a throw in, which we do. Even one javelin units on their own is quite an effective damaging unit. Build up some damage, and as soon as they turn their backs to me, look at that, it's been 3,000 damage, another 3,000 damage. It's just so easy that no one else has yet even engaged them, and we took a third of their health off with one unit. It's so effective. I then even get stuck in a little bit of hand-to-hand combat myself, and they do actually do a little bit of damage, 10 points per hit. And then we actually get the rout on them because we attack them on their flank, so we even get a few points for that. And that takes me over my 4,000 aggression, so I was really pleased. And we also got over 500 kills, which for a tier 4 unit I thought was a pretty good game. I didn't quite give me my Scourge title, didn't do quite that well, but all in all I thought that was a pretty excellent game. And then that is it, that last Archer Baronage killed the last enemy man, and that is we annihilated the enemy team. So I hope that sort of gives an idea how ruthlessly effective these javelins can be in some games. They are kind of vulnerable though, because you always have to be quite close up on the front lines. But if you can hang around with friendly infantry to give you support, they can really be very effective. You just got to watch that friendly fire. That's the biggest danger with them. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. It's a little bit different. Well, actually it's not really very different. I don't know why I said that. It's very similar to most of my episodes. But perhaps a little bit of a better gameplay from most of my gameplay where I'm normally the one playing badly. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked it, please give it a like. It really helps the channel out and the video out. When you give it a like, it sort of helps its search rankings. Let me know in the comments what you think about the video. Let me know what you think about doing a sort of a series from tier 1 to 10 for Alexander. I'm kind of keen to do that. But if you guys something that's interesting to you, that would be good to know. And subscribe to the channel for more Total War Arena content. Thanks, guys. See you all on the next video.